Hello, Shiver Seekers. Are you ready to follow us into the unknown? I'm Cynthia.
And I'm Stephanie. You found the dark oak. Welcome back for part 2 of the disappearance of Christina Whittaker.
Welcome to the Dark Oak, the mystery podcast with purpose. Each month through our charity, the Branch of Hope Foundation, we give a portion of our earnings from our Patreon and our sponsors to a nonprofit related to the first episode of the month. To find out more, just stick around to the end of this episode. Check out our website, thedarkoak.com, or head over to our Instagram, The Dark Oak Podcast.
Well, thank you, Cynthia, and thank you for coming back for part 2 of this very depressing case. I'm glad that you returned.
I have to tell you, I have been highly anticipating part 2 because I know you're going to be talking about the documentary, and I know you've told me to prepare to be mind blown and all the feelings, and I just don't know how it could get any crazier than last week.
Crazier and also ickier, slimier, darker. It almost seems like just too much. Like, could all this have been happening in a town? Can you fit all this in a documentary? Could all this have been happening in the life of this young girl? It almost seems like too much. Like, is some of it made up? But it's not. So I'm here to give you all the nitty gritty.
And when you say you're here, what you actually mean is that you're at the beach right now?
Yes. Once a year, we try to do a 1-week beach. It still is a staycation. I mean, we're in Florida. Let's be real. It's not like we don't get to enjoy the beach all the time, but it is really nice to be able to just stay at the beach. We're actually in a standalone house. Oh, and the standalone house has a pool. So I sound very bougie right now. I promise we are still a little country, but we do splurge a little on our beach vacations. So it's nice to come back to the house, grab some food, get in the pool, and then head back out to the beach for like sunset time. So yeah, we are totally indulging. So if I sound a little echoey, it's because we're staying in this beautiful house. It is decorated beautifully, but it's more of the minimalistic approach. So I don't have all of my lovely blankets and rugs and carpets and all that fancy stuff to help with my sound. So if I sound weird, it's because I'm enjoying my life here beachside.
A little echo on our end is well worth it for you to be able to enjoy that amazing family time.
No, I appreciate it so much. But here's the deal. I'm at the beach house, but I'm still writing and recording and editing. So
that's right. The work never stops here at the Dark Oak.
Actually, speaking of that, again, we're staying at a house, so like an Airbnb. And I asked my 11-year-old to load the dishwasher for me. And he looked at me in all seriousness and said, "I'm on vacation." To which I replied, "So am I." So, you know, we're going through that right now. So
yes, fun.
Yeah. So I'm basically just parenting and working and housekeeping just at a different house.
That's right. You know, we just came back from a little beach staycation as well. And it was kind of the same thing. We had a great time. Learned that our youngest is not a beach person at all, which
really?
Yeah, a little wrench in the plan, seeing as though that's what we had planned every single day, beach, all day at the beach.
And you had no inkling that this would be an issue?
Well, he's not into water, but he loved, we go every year as well, and he loved playing in the sand last year. But this year, it was too hot. It was too sticky. It was just too much. So the first day he had a blast, but second, third, and fourth days, he, after 45 minutes, was like, "Can we just go back? Can I just take a bath?"
Oh, no. And you're like,
yeah.
"No, this is what we're doing. This is it."
We relented and we let him go back and take a bath. It is a lot. It's hot. And if you don't go in the water, it's really hot. But we learned how to how to trick him, because if we went for a walk on the beach, he liked that and he would actually end up getting in the water. So he doesn't want to play
Oh.
in the water. He doesn't want to swim. But if you just tell him to walk on the beach and put him in regular clothes, that aren't supposed to get wet, suddenly it's now really fun to get waist deep in the water while you're air quote walking. And he had a blast for hours. So,
Oh, yeah, because now it's just like jumping in a big puddle.
right. So you just got to learn how to present things. Really, isn't that just the secret in life? You just have to learn how to frame stuff to get what you want, right?
Great mom hack there, Cynthia. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You just got to make it seem a little forbidden. Now, these are your clothes. You took your bathing suit off. Stay out of the water. They're soaked in 5 minutes. I'm sure therapist or like a parenting genius would be like, this is probably not the best way to teach your kids, like deliberately disobey you, but hey, it worked for us. We had a good time at the beach.
Listen, manipulation is a way of life, whether you want to admit it or not.
There you go. Parenting tips from
Okay.
Stephanie and myself.
Well, speaking of weird motivations, that brings me to the roller coaster that is the relentless documentary about Christina Whittaker's disappearance. Buckle in.
I am buckled. I am buckled, baby. Bring it.
All right. Well, Relentless is directed and produced by Christina Fontana. Just to make this script more confusing, we have Christina Fontana, who is the director of the documentary. We have Christina Whittaker, who is the missing girl. And we have Cindy Young, who also, Cindy sounds a lot like Christina when you're reading it over and over. So we've got 3 names we got to keep straight here. So I'm going to do my best for Christina Whittaker and Christina Fontana. I'm mostly just going to say their full names so that we don't get them confused. But if you get confused about which Christina I'm referring to, just stop me and let me know.
Sure. And I can attest, as Cynthia, so as Cindy, people confuse Cindy and or Cynthia and Christina.
Yeah, same with Stephanie. I don't know if this is just like girls born in the 80s, but in many people's minds, the name like Stephanie, Tiffany, Melissa, Stacy, like they're all the same.
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
name could morph into any of those other names at any time.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's very interesting.
The film was originally released on Discovery Plus, but it can now be viewed on HBO Max, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, and YouTube TV. So you've got lots of viewing options there if you want to see it.
And I have waited and not watched it until after you present this, but I probably will be watching it this evening.
I do think that you should. Now, of course, I'm going to give you a bunch of the spoilers that they kind of use as cliffhangers, but it's still worth seeing it because, again, you get some of those firsthand interviews and you also get a lot of Christina Fontana's reaction. Now, incredibly, her reaction to things she finds out is kind of polarizing. Some people think it's really interesting to watch her reaction as things unfold. Other people get frustrated with her because it's like every new thing she finds out, she either gets like frustrated or shocked. And it's like at this point, how shocked can you continue to be? But I genuinely believe she is wholeheartedly invested in finding Christina. I absolutely believe that 100%. So from that standpoint, even if you don't necessarily love her style, I still think that her work is very important.
Okay. So she's got great motives and a great mission, but she's making it an interesting thing to watch.
Again, she's the director, the producer, and kind of the star of the show. So it's clearly edited for entertainment.
Sure.
It is. But as far as just a casual viewer, it's a very interesting program.
Okay.
Now, it's a 6-part limited series, and it starts with Christina Fontana explaining that as a budding documentarian, she had become involved in a missing persons case in her town. And through that, she had gone to a missing persons support group where she wound up meeting Cindy Young.
Okay.
And at this point, Christina Whittaker had been missing about 8 months. And Christina Fontana said she was incredibly inspired by Cindy's commitment and determination to finding her daughter. And if you watch the documentary, you will feel this like coming from Cindy. And again, we said in part 1. Oh, I guess we should tell people, if you haven't heard part 1, you have to go back. I'm not even recapping. Like, I'm just going straight into part 2. So definitely go listen to part 1, because part 1 goes into everything we know about Christina Whittaker's last movements. This is kind of secondary to that, where it goes into additional theories and explanations about what may have happened to her. But if you didn't listen to part 1, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. So definitely go listen to part 1. Okay, moving on. So what I was saying about Cindy Young is, when you watch her talk about her daughter, she is so passionate and she is so motivated. I can see it. I can see how Christina Fontana said, yeah, this is the family that I want to help. Cindy is completely dogged in her resolve to find Christina. She believes wholeheartedly Christina is alive and that she will eventually be found, or at least that's what she presents outwardly. I mean, obviously, I don't know her inner thoughts, right? But outwardly, that's how it comes across. And I think you brought this up in part 1 too, the fact that even this is notable. Now, granted, this was only like 8 months after Christina went missing, but not everyone would be like that. Like, even you were saying, you may even have a tendency to lean more to the negative, that they may not be alive. Like, the missing person may not be alive, but
Sure.
Cindy believes wholeheartedly that Christina is alive.
I don't think I would ever stop looking. God forbid a loved one went missing. I would never stop looking, but I can see those really dark, scary thoughts creeping in.
So maybe Cindy has those. I don't want to take that away from her, but outwardly, she's always confident that Christina is alive and that she will one day be found. Now, only a few months after meeting Cindy, about the time Christina Whittaker had been missing for a year, Christina Fontana began investigating Christina Whittaker's disappearance. Now, little did Christina Fontana know that the search for Christina Whittaker would consume, again, the next 11 years of her life.
Which is wild. I mean, what a calling, really.
Yep.
Because she's just a stranger, right? She's just a stranger who met Cindy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The series compiles videos and interviews taken over a decade, 400 hours.
Wow.
400 hours of video footage. And to me, as you said, this shows Christina Fontana's true commitment to the case.
Sure. Yeah, that's a lifetime.
Yep. And over the course of this documentary, you see all levels of emotion. So in the beginning, you can see how she's really hopeful, especially the information she's gotten from Cindy. It was basically, this girl was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but we've got these viable leads. We think we can find her. And then as more things start to be revealed, you can see Christina Fontana dealing with a lot of emotional stress brought on by the intensity of the case, and then consistently hitting dead ends. She's very emotional in some scenes. She's crying, she's screaming, she's cursing. It is a true, kind of emotional roller coaster to be so dedicated to this case that seems to never end.
Right. And as you're saying all of this, I'm just thinking, if someone's really devoted their whole life or 11 years to one person's case and they still haven't found them, I don't know. That just feels so helpless. I'm just feeling helpless for everyone right now. Just with the thought of that.
The documentary begins to give this air that nothing is safe. Everyone is a suspect. I can only imagine how disheartening that is, like how depleting that must be.
Sure. Who could you trust?
No one. As a matter of fact, Christina Fontana revealed that suspects can range from Christina Whittaker's own family to law enforcement, drug gangs, friends. Everyone is living a life that contains secrets. So we got a taste of that in part 1, where Danny Baker, who just happens to find her phone, turns out has a criminal past. Even her mother, who clearly wants to find Christina, only gives Christina Fontana partial truths. And it just makes you wonder, like, everything has question marks around it.
Now, Christina Fontana, she's not an investigator by trade.
She is not. And that's how some have explained how emotional she gets. because she's not an investigator. She's not a private investigator. She's never worked for a police force. She's just kind of an independent filmmaker. And this is just the case that sucked her in.
Okay.
So today I'm going to give you some of the top theories brought on from the documentary. And I will tell you, there will definitely be spoilers. So if you want to go and watch it before you listen to this and get my thoughts, that's perfectly fine. But I think it's important to reveal all of it in order to get a full picture of what we know about Christina Whittaker's disappearance. Now, the first twist, if you want to call it, is that Christina Fontana revealed after befriending Cindy and Alex. Remember, Alex is Christina Whittaker's dad. I mean, it's technically her stepdad, but it's the one that she knew as her dad.
Right.
Well, Christina Fontana revealed that after befriending Cindy and Alex for years and being really intimately connected with them, making this documentary, she finds out that Christina has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety, and fibromyalgia, all of which require prescription medications, which Christina Whittaker was taking, all at the same time.
I feel like that's important information for a missing person.
Yeah, you would think.
If that was me, I may not just reveal it to every single friend of mine, every person I come across, but if I go missing and I'm dealing with those diagnoses and on medications, I don't know, it feels relevant.
Yeah. Okay. But what's weird is that while Christina Whittaker was diagnosed with these conditions, Cindy doesn't actually believe she had any of these conditions. An actual healthcare professional diagnosed Christina Whittaker with these conditions. Yet Cindy is very dismissive of these diagnoses. And she said her proof came when Christina was pregnant and Christina had to be taken off of the medications. When you're pregnant, a lot of those medications, especially mental health meds, you can't take at the same time you're pregnant because they could affect the fetus and your unborn baby. So she was off of the medication. And according to Cindy, Christina acted just fine. She didn't have any issues. She was totally fine. However, she does admit that after Christina gave birth, Christina told Cindy that she wasn't feeling well and made her own appointment to go back to her doctor to resume her medication. But Cindy told her she didn't even need it. Like, don't even get back on it.
Do you think perhaps that might be a generational thing? Because there is this, I don't know how old Cindy is, but there is this stigma I've noticed with our parents' generation with some mental health diagnoses where it's like they don't want to admit maybe that somebody struggles with some of these mental health issues. So do you think it's something like that? Whereas like our generation now, we're just like happy to have answers. And we're like, oh, good. We have a diagnosis. Now we know how to navigate.
You may absolutely be onto something. I will tell you, though, when you start getting into the biggies like bipolar disorder, I think that would be hard for anyone to not notice.
Sure. Bipolar, I do have some experience with a family member who suffers from bipolar and struggles to stay medicated, unfortunately. And it's apparent. It's obvious in the behavior when this person's unmedicated that there's something going on. So, yes, my limited experience would tell me that I have a hard time imagining Cindy having no clue that something's going on or just completely, I mean, what does she think? I'm assuming there's some kind of behavior.
So we find out later, this is the next big bombshell, if you will, but we find out that Christina was also self-medicating through recreational drugs, which we kind of alluded to in part one.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make me wonder, was Christina dulling down maybe the effects of her bipolar through drugs, like through drug use? Or if Cindy knew about Christina's drug use, could she have thought that some of her manic or depressive behavior was a result of the drug use?
Could be. Could be. Because bipolar, if I remember correctly, it often doesn't show up till like early 20s. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
So if she wasn't seeing it during childhood and then sees it later on when Christina's a little more independent and also experimenting, like you said, with illegal drugs, but if a doctor told me that a loved one had bipolar disorder, I would probably look into that further.
I also want to remind you that Christina's daughter was only 6 months old at the time. So it was prime time for Christina Whittaker to also have the addition of postpartum depression.
Which we've talked about that before. I didn't suffer from depression, but I suffered from postpartum anxiety. And I can just tell you anything postpartum, any of those, the depression, the anxiety, I mean, those can be debilitating.
Yep.
Debilitating.
Yep. Now, out of curiosity, because, I literally cannot help myself, I scanned the Mayo Clinic Medical Center website on postpartum depression to see if Christina would have been more susceptible because of her previous conditions. And the answer seems to be yes. Among contributing factors for postpartum, Christina had 5 out of the 12. These include having a history of depression, having bipolar disorder, having problems in your relationship with your spouse or partner, and I'll get into this a little bit further down. The fourth is you have a weak support system. Again, I'll address this. And lastly, the pregnancy was unplanned or unwanted. Now, from all accounts, she loved her daughter. She wanted her daughter, but I get the impression it was very unplanned.
Sure. Both can be true.
Yeah. So in my mind, it seems probable she had a few things going on. Now, all of this is magnified when it is revealed that she also regularly participated in recreational drug use. And from what I can tell, it was whatever she could get her hands on. So I'm talking anywhere from pills all the way up to cocaine.
Oh, okay. So we're not talking weed. I mean,
No.
we probably are talking weed.
We probably are.
Not just
but we're also
weed.
talking the big ones, like the big
Okay,
ones.
sure.
So think about everything going on with this young girl. So she not only has, some mental health issues, but she also has the side effects from the medications.
Sure.
Because I know as someone who has struggled with anxiety, similar to you, medications can make you a little crazy too. Seriously, the side effects, and if you don't have the right one, if your dosage is not correct, I mean, that can be a real struggle in itself. Then you add on the possibility of postpartum, and now you're also talking about illegal substances.
Right. Well, and I giggled because, medications can have some crazy side effects. That was my giggle, not at the situation, but just at like my own experience. Yep.
Yeah, because it's a knowing laugh. Like, oh,
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah.
Now, here's where it gets creepy. I will tell you, this is one of the wildest things to me. After several years following the family, Christina Fontana finds home videos of not only Christina Whittaker doing drugs, but Christina Whittaker doing drugs with her entire family.
What?
We're talking her mother, her father, her siblings, her cousins, her aunts.
Oh,
girl, everybody.
How old was Christina Whittaker at the time? I mean, home videos? I'm assuming she was an adult.
The ones that they at least showed in the documentary, she was an adult. So 18, 19, 20. But still.
Oh, I mean, okay. Eek. And I'm not trying to judge, but like, say a parent of an adult child does partake in these types of things. I still wouldn't want to do it in front of my young, impressionable 18-year-old child, right? Like, they don't have the wherewithal to navigate this. Why introduce them to this kind of thing? Yikes.
It just made me feel so gross. I really hated it. I really, really hated it. So when the idea of a weak support system came up and that list of things that could have possibly contributed to, diminished mental faculties,
right.
I think that would probably qualify.
And again, we're not talking, do we know what kind of drugs? But like big ones, right?
Big ones.
So not just, smoking weed.
No, these are big ones. These are mind-altering substances.
Wow. Like the whole family. Eek.
Yeah.
Eek.
And it's revealed, shocker, that she and her boyfriend, the father of her little baby, had understandable conflicts about Christina's drug use.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Well, sure. Exactly. Now, I did want to clarify, I do not believe that she used any drugs while she was pregnant. I don't get any indication that that happened, so that is a blessing.
I was wondering, did she use any afterwards? Like, is everybody like stoned out of their mind while there's a little baby in the next room? Or, I don't know, swinging in their little swing watching this happen?
I can't answer that. I don't get the impression that her boyfriend used drugs, or at least
Okay.
he wasn't at the time. Maybe he was. I don't know. So maybe I shouldn't speak to that. I didn't get that impression because, again, if you talk to Cindy Young, she never did drugs either. Yet we
Oh,
have it on video.
so
So
she denies it?
she just brushes it off like it just never happened. And
And
again, one of the issues that people have with the documentary is that Christina Fontana never directly confronts Cindy.
oh, well, that's the first thing I'd be doing. Okay.
Yeah. Now, what she does do is pivot the way that she's investigating the case and include Cindy and Alex less and less in the investigation. So, it does change the direction of the investigation, but there are some hard questions that I think need to be asked of the Youngs that Christina Fontana never tackles.
And my assumption is she did not ask because she didn't want to damage the relationship and maybe lose access. I can only assume.
Yeah, I think that's it. I do. I think that's probably it.
Okay. But do it at the end. Like,
Right.
get all your information, then be like, oh, by the way, I forgot to ask. And here's the thing, there is a way to, I mean, I guess you can never say how someone else is going to respond, but there is a way to like ask these hard questions with love. You can do that. Again, you don't know what the response will be.
You don't know what their response would be. And the fact that they lied in the first place makes you wonder what else are they hiding. Now, I do want to clarify, just because we have revealed that Christina herself was not squeaky clean and that her family is not squeaky clean, we're not going to throw out the baby with the bathwater and say that somehow Christina's case doesn't deserve attention or doesn't deserve our time. We have never been that kind of podcast. We don't have to have the perfect victim, if you will. People are people. Some people make different choices. So while I do find this disturbing, and it definitely could have put Christina in some compromising situations, obviously her family isn't making the best choices. I do feel like continuing to investigate her case and tell her story is valuable. But I'm keeping these parts about the drug use in because it helps us paint a picture of her last moments.
Sure. Absolutely. She's a human being. She's a daughter. She's a mother. What's that phrase? I don't even know where it's from, but I think it's so beautiful. I think it's, but by the grace of God, there goes I, which
Yeah.
just boils down to, hey, listen, that could have been me, and we've talked about it before, how, I feel like we're all just like one major life-changing event away from just total devastation. So no judgment at all. Yeah, it's just a sad situation.
It's a sad situation. But again, I don't know that Cindy felt like people would handle her case the way that we are, because for years, Cynthia, Cindy would tell anyone that listened that Christina sometimes struggled with depression, but it was nothing major. And then she would also say that Christina Whittaker was not much of a drinker and never used drugs.
I do understand that. One, she's probably wanting to protect her daughter's virtue. But also, it is true that sometimes when people find out that a victim maybe was into some, not so healthy stuff, they lose interest. They don't care.
Yeah.
Well, what did you think was going to happen? Kind of attitude. And so I do understand why Cindy would be protective of that behavior. I don't know that it helps, because I think in missing persons cases, the truth is actually what helps. So hiding what was going on in Christina Whittaker's life at the time she disappeared, I don't know is helpful in finding the truth of what happened to her. But I do understand from a mother's protective view why that might feel like the right thing to do.
Well, I will tell you, Christina Fontana got so frustrated trying to figure out what was real and what wasn't real that she hired her own PI to
Wow.
investigate Christina Whittaker's disappearance.
Wow.
Now, again, she's been really open in admitting that she's an amateur documentarian. So she doesn't know anything about investigations, but she was like, I've got to get answers. Like, she's so invested in this case and trying to find out what happened to Christina that she kind of decided to circumnavigate the family and, again, hired her own PI.
I don't know. I haven't seen the documentary, but so far I kind of love her.
I do. I don't dislike her. You know, some of her emotional side is a little difficult for me sometimes because I want her to be more business oriented, if you will, like more focused on that. And again, I do get frustrated. Why don't you just go ask? Like, just go
Sure.
in there and ask. And she's got her reasoning. Who's to say if I wasn't in her shoes, I wouldn't have made the same decision. But I do like her. She's very dogged too. I like it. So here's what's crazy. This PI finds out that in 2010, so just shy of a year after Christina's disappearance, Christina's family, including her mother, father, and boyfriend, make an appearance on the Steve Wilco talk show.
Oh, I know that. I know that show.
As you giggle.
I've never watched a full episode, but man, it doesn't matter where in the episode they are. If it lands on my TV, I'm always immediately drawn in by whatever is happening. I can't handle it for more than like 5 minutes, but for that 5 minutes, I'm invested.
Thank goodness, again, this is a no judgment podcast here. For anyone who doesn't know, it's basically a spinoff from the Jerry Springer show, if that helps paint a picture for you.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's entertainment, in air quotes. I don't know. How would you describe it, Cynthia?
I mean, I think it's a step up from the Jerry Springer show, right? Because Steve Wilkos, he does a really good job of like acting serious. Whereas I think Jerry Springer kind of played into the craziness going on. Like, that's what's so funny to me about the Steve Wilkos show is like he acts like it's like super serious. like you know what I mean? Like, it's not just wildness going on.
I still think there's a good amount of like chair throwing and stuff though, right?
Again, I've never watched a full episode. I get the 5 minutes in and that's okay, I'm good. That's all I needed.
Okay. But it's not a show you would take seriously, right?
I don't know anything about the people going on. So the people going on, I don't know if their stories are true or not. But it's not like going on Oprah or Dr. Phil.
Fair. I think that's fair. Okay, in this particular episode, the family is shown acting like they're trying to find answers to Christina's disappearance. So it's Cindy and Alex, and they tell a brief overview of what happened to Christina, and then they lay the bombshell that they think it was Christina's boyfriend,
What?
Travis Blackwell, who did something to Christina.
He's on the show with them?
He comes out and they accuse him of hurting Christina.
Oh, no.
Now,
no.
Here's what's wild about this is Christina's parents had never made this accusation before, and they have never made this accusation after, only on the show. But they straight up say, Travis, you did something to Christina.
Okay, this seems like they either wanted, I don't know, why would you do, either the show told them to do that, or they said, hey, let's do this so we can get on the show, but I don't understand what the purpose is.
It feels weird to me. Their daughter hasn't even been missing a full year, and they're going to go and, in my mind, kind of like make a farce of it.
Well, yeah.
Like they brought Travis out and they're yelling and like craziness is ensuing. And then, according to Steve Wilkos, I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, because some of these shows, they could be fact or fiction. But according to Steve Wilkos, he pulls out these polygraph tests and said they questioned Travis. And Travis is like, give them the results. Give them the results. I passed. And Steve said that he failed both of them.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So, of course, the show proceeds as you would expect, with Cindy freaking out and putting her finger in Travis's face, and Travis adamantly denying that he had anything to do with it, and everybody's running around crying. I mean, it's the scene you would expect it to be.
Wow. This is just, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. This is a mess.
It's a mess. Now, I do know that participants on the show get paid.
Oh, okay. That might be the motive right there.
But that doesn't explain it for me. Like, okay, but like, if your daughter's actually missing, you gotta go on the show. None of it makes any sense to me. And it makes you wonder, like, does the family actually know what happened to her? Like, do they know she's alive and living somewhere and they're just making it into a show to make it like a spectacle, like to get money or publicity somehow? It just doesn't seem like a grieving family is going to go on there and make an accusation that they know isn't true.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless they were all in on it, including Travis.
Maybe, but if you're Travis, would you allow yourself to be accused of that?
How much am I getting paid?
And I don't know the answer to that. I do know they do get paid, but
But they can't get paid a lot. It can't be a lot. It
no,
can't
it
be
can't.
worth being accused publicly of killing your girlfriend.
Right?
Yeah, it can't be a lot.
And if Cindy is really out there trying to get people to really look for her daughter, is going on the Steve Wilkos show and accusing her boyfriend of murdering her, is that the way to go?
All I can say is it's not what I would do. It's just not what I would do. I wouldn't go on the Steve Wilkos show even if I thought Travis was responsible. If I wanted to get attention for my missing daughter's case, there are places you could go to get attention. Steve Wilkos, Jerry Springer, Sally Jesse, Raphael, who is not on the air, but
it's the glasses, right? It's the glasses.
Right. None of these. Who's the other guy? You are not the father. Like these are not.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
these are not the places.
He's still on, isn't he? I don't know.
Probably
Maury.
Yeah. Povich. None of these are the places I'm going. If they reached out to me and said, hey, we would like to spread awareness, I would be like, no, thank you. I would even struggle going on Dr. Phil just because I think all of these are just kind of like, they're all a little slimy. So I'm having a hard time connecting with this family's choices so far.
Well, and a lot of people have criticized them for making these choices. And I will tell you, they also set up several fundraisers that were set up to help for the search of Christina. Again, maybe they were legit, but it does make you pause a little, right?
Well, were there searches happening?
By Cindy.
Okay, well.
And they did have local townspeople that came out. There were some like trained search dogs and things like that. Like people would have trained them on their own, but they didn't get paid. They just did it because they wanted to help.
Right. If there's tons and tons of money coming in, now if it's, $1,000 total, then
I don't think it was a lot of money.
Right.
But
not that $1,000 total isn't a lot of money, but I can see that just going to expenses, travel expenses, food, lodging, those types of things if you're searching for your daughter. If it's like tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in that's supposed to be going to a search, you better have receipts.
Yeah, I don't get the impression that was the case. And again, I already kind of covered it, but Cindy has never, again, accused Travis of doing anything, and Travis still maintains custody of the daughter that he and Christina share.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what to think about that. I don't know what to think about that.
Well, it just gets worse, so.
Oh, worse than that?
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
So the next totally icky part that was revealed in the documentary involves the Hannibal Police Department. I know I teased this fact toward the end of part 1, that they may not necessarily be on the up and up. The first of 2 points is that it was revealed by multiple informants that in the early 2000s, there were a handful of officers who would allow 16 to 18-year-old girls to get out of criminal charges if they would provide sexual services to police officers.
Stephanie, I just got chill bumps. 16 to 18, those are children.
Babies. They are babies.
My gosh. That
juveniles. All juveniles.
Getting out of charges by oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about corrupt.
Icky, gross, slimy, all the words.
Was it just one officer? Do we know? Was it several?
It was several.
Okay, so not even just like one bad, dirty cop.
No. And I'm not sure exactly how far it goes, but In interviews with residents of Hannibal, it was kind of just common knowledge.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I
like they
mean,
would interview girls that were around Christina's age, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember being propositioned by this police officer. I remember getting out of a charge with this police officer." Like it was just common knowledge. That happens.
see, those are the bad cops that make the rest look so
As a
bad.
matter of fact, Christina's mom knew about it. Cindy even admits to it. She's like, "Yeah, I know Christina participated in that a few times." Like, you've got to be kidding me.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Okay, there's more. Because of this, these sicko police officers and these young girls became like friendly. And it feels weird to even use that word, right? Because these police officers are just disgusting. But the police officers would even attend some of the teenage parties with the girls.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like this is abuse. First of all, it's an abuse of power. So it's an abusive relationship, even if they were adults. But these are minors.
Uh-huh.
And adults, police officers abusing their power, attending teen parties. Oh my gosh, it's so gross. It's so gross.
Yeah. It was revealed that Christina and her best friend participated in sleeping with these police officers. And there are pretty good accounts that we know Christina had sexual interaction with at least 3 police officers. So it's not just the corruption, but also if these young girls are participating in illegal activity, it's like not only are you not helping them, but you're making it worse. You're compounding it.
Yeah, you're abusing them. In my opinion, that's abuse. I know in some states, maybe even in Florida, like 16, I don't know, maybe it's like the age where it's like not considered statutory rape, but it's still an abuse of power. It's still disgusting. Yikes. Yikes.
Gross.
That's all I can say.
Gross. Now, it was also revealed that at some point, and in my opinion, this could be pivotal to the investigation into her disappearance, Christina became a confidential informant for the Hannibal Police Department. Now, the idea was she got herself pulled over for an offense, say like, again, a DUI or a DWI, and the police offered her immunity or expungement if she would participate in their informant program, which honestly, I think is pretty standard protocol for confidential informants, right? Basically, you're offered some kind of leniency, but I don't like any of it, especially when you know she's already being manipulated by the police in a different way.
Sure. I mean, I don't really understand the whole confidential informant relationship. I just know basics. So I don't know that I would have a problem with that, but that along with everything else seems highly inappropriate.
Right. Now, this information came out of paperwork that was found by investigators researching Christina's case. The Hannibal Police Department has never confirmed that she was one of their informants.
Oh.
However, that doesn't mean a lot to me.
No, I was going to say at first I was like, oh, but then I think that might be standard. Aren't they often protected? I mean, it's a confidential informant.
Right. And this would also be necessary if it turns out Christina's disappearance was tied to her interaction with the police. Like, what if Christina fingered a big bad guy, like a drug dealer or a gang member, and that person had her killed? What if the police know that she had been killed because of her involvement as a confidential informant?
Now, I know this is kind of out there, but as we've discussed for the last 2 weeks now, nothing's off the table because we have nothing really as far as evidence. So what if she was working as this informant and she was in danger? She's off living, in the witness protection program somewhere. Although you wouldn't leave your baby. You wouldn't leave your baby behind, would you?
No, and I just don't feel like the Hannibal Police Department, I mean, it's a tiny department. I just don't feel like they would be that proactive to help her. I really don't.
Unless there was they were in cahoots with a federal case. Maybe something big was going on and the feds were involved and the feds helped her. But again, as I was saying it, I realized, well, you'd take your baby. So
it's possible, but I find it highly unlikely.
Oh, me too. But, I'm just throwing it all out there.
Sure. What else can you do with this?
Right.
Now, Hannibal was known for being the home of a particular criminal enterprise called the Asphalters or Gypsy Pavers. This group got its infamous title because they're known for offering low-cost asphalt paving services that are essentially a fraud. Like
Oh.
they use watered down or recycled pavement to pave the driveways, but they charge people a ton of money.
Mm.
And because they keep frequently changing their company names, they always get away with it.
Ew,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
there's a ton of corruption and it's just this fraud scheme that goes around and around. So this group of people is known as the asphalters in Hannibal. And apparently there's like other pockets of them around the United States. But these dudes are really corrupt. And because they've been around for so long, it's almost kind of like they have their hands in a lot of people's pockets.
Okay.
So could it be possible that Christina tangled with the wrong one?
Is there any reason to believe that she was involved with this group, or no, it's just another possibility?
There have been informants that have come forward. And I'll
Mm.
talk about one in particular later in the episode that his name has come up quite a bit
Mm.
as being someone who might want to get rid of Christina.
Yikes.
But again, we don't know.
Right.
It's just another name on a list of many names. At this point, as I said in part 1, the police department has refused to speak about Christina's case at all. So not only are they not speaking about whether she was a confidential informant, but they're not even talking about her disappearance. They are not talking at all.
Well, now it makes a lot more sense because it sounds to me like they just don't want to talk. They got a lot of stuff that they don't want coming out. So set it and forget it. Let's keep moving on.
Now, the last bombshell is a rumor, and in my opinion, it is an unfounded rumor that Alex Young, Christina's father / stepfather, he was her stepfather, but
Sure.
knew him as her father, was actually molesting Christina.
Mm.
And the idea is that he either did away with her or she ran away voluntarily. That's what most people think would have happened if this situation is true, because they abuse, and that's why she's never come home.
I mean, that would be a reason to run away and never come back. Sure. What is leading people to believe that he was molesting her? That's like a big allegation.
Travis Blackwell, Christina's boyfriend, said that Christina had said some things to him.
Oh.
They also had a few other informants, people that had just reported rumors. I don't know. I don't see it. I could be completely wrong. Again, though, everything's just so shady over there. Everything's so weird. They're all doing drugs together and aren't giving straight stories. So how the heck do I know?
Well, and it is weird to me that Travis would say that, but then at the same time, Travis may just be getting revenge for them taking him on,
Yes,
on TV and saying he's the guy. So
because I will tell you honestly, when Steve Wilkos pulled out that paper and said, Travis, you failed it, like the only thing that I think was real in that episode was Travis's face when they said he had failed the polygraph test. Travis literally looked shocked.
So
Like,
you don't think he
completely
even
shocked.
failed?
No,
Who knows?
I don't even think they gave him polygraph test.
Right.
Like
This
a
is
real
good
one.
TV. This
Like,
is
I
just
think,
good
like,
TV.
yeah, like I think they faked a polygraph. Like I think he thought he took a polygraph.
Right.
I fully think by looking at his reaction that he was like, it's going to say I passed. Like he was completely shocked, like
Right.
blown away that it said he didn't.
And this is in the documentary?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, I got to find this. That would be interesting. And when you first said, okay, well, Alex was potentially, possibly molesting her, I thought, again, well, you wouldn't leave your daughter behind. But Travis has the daughter.
Now she stays with Cindy and Alex a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see how, if she really was a loving, attentive mother, how you would willingly run away and leave your baby, except for if she was suffering from some severe either postpartum depression or some other mental health issues, then maybe. But that's a big deal to like run away and leave your baby behind. My gut's telling me she's probably not running away. Like she probably didn't disappear on her own.
That's what my gut's telling me too. I think we're on the same page there. Now, this kind of brings me to Christina Fontano's final remarks on this case. In an interview with Fox News, she said, quote, "What I find so intriguing about this case is that on the surface, it really did seem like there was this girl who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But once I started scratching underneath the surface and uncovering these layers to Christina's life, there was so much more to the story.
I'll say.
In the quote, exactly.
My goodness. It's like, now I understand why you're like, there's going to be 2 episodes. There's going to be the episode of what we know, and then there's going to be an episode about everything in this documentary. Yikes. Yowza.
Yep. She went on to say that after filming 400 hours of footage, she had covered allegations against, quote, almost everyone in Christina's life, end quote.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's true.
It includes members of her own family and the police.
Yikes.
She said, quote, maybe she wanted to leave home because of certain things. Maybe people wanted to harm her because of certain activities that were going on in her life and that we uncover in the show.
And there's still the possibility that she was just drunk out of her mind and stumbled and fell into the Mississippi River.
Girl, that leads me right into our theories.
Okay.
So I was going to say before we get there that I personally don't know that Christina is still alive, because I think you have to get there before you can kind of go anywhere. I think, in my opinion, she's probably not still alive. Personally, I think her mom is kind of grasping at straws, hoping that she is.
Sure.
I don't know all of the sightings in Peoria are true. And it's my opinion that Christina Fontana also doesn't believe in those sightings. I think she did in the beginning. I think for the first few years, she believed wholeheartedly that Christina was in Peoria. But I think at this point, she's believing she's more than likely deceased. So theory number 1 is she went into the Mississippi River. In part 1, we talked about that last bar that she went to was only half a mile from the Mississippi River. So I think you could look at it on 2 different angles. Did she go in voluntarily or involuntarily?
Right. Involuntarily. It didn't sound like she was in that type of place, but again, for all the reasons we've already discussed, I guess you wouldn't really know for sure. To me, it seemed reasonable that she was just looking forward to a night out. But then again, I remember in episode 1, the last reported sighting of her was her like having an upsetting phone call and running out of a bar crying, maybe, I think.
Yep.
So
she was highly intoxicated, taking prescription pills and possible recreational drugs. In addition, as we talked about, she was struggling with her mental health, and several of her friends had said she had spoken of suicide over the last few years.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're already struggling with those thoughts and then, postpartum depression gets you, and then you're on a bad high or really drunk and having a bad night. Yeah, that's not a good place. Not a good place to be.
Yeah. In addition, in the documentary, her boyfriend Travis said he had several conversations with her about needing to turn her life around because she was a mom. So maybe she was thinking about that, like, I'm just failing, I'm not doing a good job. There's a lot of pressure us moms put on ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So could that have been it? Her propensity to, be addicted to these drugs, and then also to struggle with her mental health, which is hard. It's so hard, and so much of it is out of your control. It's not like you can just will yourself to be not anxious or will yourself to not be depressed. It's hard, and it takes work, and some days are better than others. Again, if she didn't have that support system that would even let her talk about her mental health, it would have, it's all compounded.
Yeah.
So I can see how she would have been under a tremendous amount of stress. Maybe it was accidental. Maybe she accidentally fell in. But I also don't think we can take out the possibility that she decided to end her life.
Yeah, I think the Mississippi River is a very viable theory as to what may have happened to her that night. I really do.
And as we talked about in part 1, because it took almost a full 24 hours for a search to start for her, that fast flowing section of the Mississippi River really would have made it where her body would never be found.
Right.
So if that is what happened to her, we're probably never going to get real solid answers.
Sure.
The second theory is the human trafficking. Again, Christina's mom, Cindy, insists this is what happened to Christina. And we do have these eyewitness accounts of people seeing Christina? Could Darcy Bookie Morris have been involved? Remember that
Yeah.
jerkwad?
Yeah.
Like, could he have been involved? Maybe she also just simply ran away. Maybe she really is in Peoria, but it didn't have anything to do with Darcy Morris. She was diagnosed with bipolar and was on medication. There were all kinds of allegations and some confirmations of abuse and corruption around her. Maybe she just wanted to start over in Peoria. Maybe because of some of her depression, she thought the baby would be safer with her parents. Maybe she thought that she wasn't a good enough mom, so maybe she just up and left. I find this one not to be as likely, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't think we can rule it out. To me, the idea of leaving your child behind, that one's harder for me to swallow. But I also understand that, sometimes women feel like it's in their child's best interest. So I can't say that that couldn't be the case here.
The next theory is that she was harmed by any number of bad guys that we've presented over the past 2 weeks.
Or a bad guy we haven't presented, because there are just random bad guys. There could have been a bad guy that we've never even heard of, just a passerby passing through town out at the bar that night.
Absolutely.
Saw this vulnerable girl. I think that's a possibility.
Absolutely. Another person of interest that's covered on Relentless comes from that group called the Asphalters. According to Christina Fontana, an informant told her about one of the leaders of the group named Carl Ledbetter. This informant said that Ledbetter had Christina killed and buried in a well on his property. And by buried, I mean like dumped in the well,
Sure.
but in the well on his property. Now, during the documentary, Carl Ledbetter would never allow a search of his property, which I found interesting. There's like 3,000 reasons why he could say no, but for the purpose of the documentary, it seemed very suspicious.
It does, but we already know he's like a bad guy.
Right.
So even if Christina's not on the property, there could be other bodies on the property. There could be drugs being manufactured on the property. There could be all kinds of illegal activity on the property. So yeah, it's suspicious. If you were squeaky clean, why not just come check my well and cross my name off the list? The fact that we already know he's like kind of a bad guy, I don't think him not wanting people on his property necessarily means he killed Christina.
I think that's totally fair. I think that's fair. Since the documentary has been released, Carl Ledbetter's property has been sold to another individual, which kind of gave a glimmer of hope. However, that individual will also not allow a search of the property.
Now that's interesting.
Well, okay, I take that back. He will, but only if he is paid a substantial fee.
Well, that's slimy, but I can understand if you're going to like rip up my well, replace my well. But if you're just going to look at just to confirm there's not a dead person in my well, I mean, I'll let you do that, because if there's a dead person in there, I'd like for you to get it out. Quite frankly, if it's my well.
This is all so gross to me.
I can maybe kind of understand why I wouldn't necessarily want somebody making a documentary while they search my property. I don't know. If somebody knocked on my door tomorrow and was like, hey, 20 years ago, somebody went missing and we have reason to believe they're buried in your backyard, can we go search and film it for this documentary? I think I would say no to the filming, quite frankly. And I can't even tell you why. It just feels very invasive, and I have nothing to hide.
Well, I think Christina Fontana would be fine with doing it privately.
Just searching.
Yeah. I think she did somewhere. It was like, you need to turn off the camera while we do this part. And she complied.
Right.
But towards the end of the documentary, Christina Fontana said she feels like this is the strongest lead she has right now. As a matter of fact, one of the final lines of the documentary explains that she's trying to find additional witnesses who can vouch for her informant's statements so that the police have enough probable cause to go and search the property.
Okay. I wonder why the new owner wouldn't allow it.
It made it even weirder to me. Now, maybe it's one of Ledbetter's buddies.
Well, that's what I wondered. Is it just another slimy person?
Yeah.
I guess there could be a million reasons why. But for me, if I just buy a property and somebody wants to search it, sure, why not? I have nothing to hide.
So, girl, that in a not so clear nutshell is the case of Christina Whittaker.
Okay, if you have to pick one, what do you think?
Uh,
What do you think? I have two that I'm like could be equally plausible.
some of these theories are intriguing, they are entertaining, but I think they're just too fantastical to be true.
Yeah.
And I think I want to just go back to the probable, the things that we know. And that is that Christina probably fell into the river.
Okay, I actually feel very strongly that could have happened, that she went in the river because there is such a lack of evidence.
Yeah, there's no evidence that she ever left Hannibal. That's for sure. There's no
Right.
evidence that she ever left Hannibal.
Biggest thing, if you can even trust the person, the witness, is like her phone was found on the street or on the sidewalk outside of the bar, the
Right.
strip of
If you
bars.
can even trust the witness, like you have nothing.
Right. If that's true, then that could have happened when she's drunk and just drops her phone and then she stumbles into the river. So it's for me between the river, but I also think there's a really good chance that this obviously vulnerable woman, obviously vulnerable. So everybody knew, everybody in the bar, probably in all three bars that she went to that night, were very aware of her, very aware of her state, her physical state, her mental state, how intoxicated she was. And I think there could just be some bad guy who saw her and grabbed her. I don't know, maybe attacked her in some way and then just got rid of her.
Yeah.
I don't even think it necessarily has to be one of the bad guys we've talked about. Even the police officers in this town are slimy, horrible people. It could have been a police officer. Police officer could have taken her and raped her and dumped her somewhere.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think equally as possible as the river is just some bad guy. Just any one of them. Pick one. There's lots to choose from.
Yeah. And we've
Right.
covered all of them. Gang leaders, bad guys we know, bad guys we don't know, law enforcement, someone in her own family.
Right.
She could have been her own worst enemy.
Right. Now, I don't think she was trafficked. I don't think it's necessarily because she knew something. I guess those things are possible, but I just think a woman, actually, I think us as humans are just vulnerable when there's an evil monster. And I think she was especially vulnerable that night, and just some evil monster probably took her.
Well, I will tell you, the documentary itself has a couple twists that actually don't really have anything to do with Christina. For example, during Christina Fontana's investigation into Hannibal, she met a private investigator who introduced himself as a retired police officer. And he's really upstanding, nice guy. He was helpful. He was really encouraging to Christina. Like, she would bounce things off of him. Like, well, could this have happened? Or could that have happened? Or who do I ask about this? And he was always super helpful. And then halfway through the series, Christina gets a call where we find out that this guy has committed suicide. And Christina's very upset by it. She's explaining, like how could this have just happened? I just met with him. I'm just blown away. I'm so crushed. Well, later in that episode, Christina explains that this guy committed suicide because it turns out he was a child predator, and he found out that the FBI was about to arrest him for possessing child pornography.
What is in the water in Hannibal?
So even the good guys turn out to be bad guys.
There are no good guys. It's what
wild.
I'm kind of coming. Mark Twain. Mark Twain is the only good guy in Hannibal.
Thank you. Exactly. Like, what is happening?
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It's a very weird case and a very entertaining and riveting documentary. I do encourage you to watch it, but be prepared to leave like more confused. And also plan, as I said, to take like a really long hot shower afterwards, because it's that kind of vibe.
And I'm sorry to any of our listeners from Hannibal. I know there are not all bad guys in Hannibal, but man, you guys got a lot going on.
You got a lot going on. I know.
Wow.
It's just, anyway, moving on. At the time of her disappearance, Christina had shoulder-length red auburn hair and brown eyes. She had a previous fracture to her left femur, a cesarean scar on her abdomen, and a surgical scar on her left knee with rod indentions on both sides. She had two distinguishing tattoos, one of a Care Bear with a marijuana leaf on the inside of her right ankle, and one of an outline of an angel with the middle finger up on her left shoulder. If you have any information that could help locate Christina Whittaker, please call the Hannibal, Missouri Police Department at 573-221-0987. You know, I have to say that. I don't know that I actually recommend that you call them. You might just want to contact Christina Fontana. Maybe that's a better route. I don't know. But
yikes.
That's the information I'm supposed to share with you. So
wow. I'm just so sad. Poor Christina. You know, I have a 21-year-old and I just want to give this little 21-year-old a hug. I just want to give her a hug. She's, you know, an adult woman, but when you have a child that's that same age, it's hard not to be like, wow, this is somebody's baby. You know, this could have been my baby. How awful.
I feel for her. I really, really do. When you're just surrounded by that much darkness, it's very hard to see the light.
And here's the thing. I'm not trying to cast judgment, but Christina was obviously taught some behaviors from the people around her, right? From the adults who raised her, from the people who are supposed to be an example. So some of her choices, it's kind of like, well, this is what she was taught. This
Right.
is the environment she grew up in. So we do what we know.
I agree with you. It just wound up really making Christina vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah, to the point where we can't even point a direction, really, because it could have just been anything. So sad. I'm so sad for her. I'm so sad for her daughter. I hope her daughter's doing well and Travis is a good dad. And that's all I can hope.
I know. Well, you know, our branch of hope really speaks to a lot of this trying to clear away some of the darkness. We're sponsoring Exodus Road, which is an expert at liberating individuals who are currently trapped in human trafficking. They train local operatives to identify victims of human trafficking, gather evidence to build effective cases for law enforcement, and support law enforcement in operations to free victims. So they're truly the boots on the ground. We are coming in, busting down the doors, freeing you from your human trafficking captivity. To date, I know we talked about this last week, but to date, they've helped free more than 1,500 women and children from sex trafficking, and they've aided in the arrest of more than 800 traffickers.
That is so incredible. I get chills thinking about it because that's a job I wouldn't be able to do. Like I wouldn't even be able to walk in the room and see that. And you know, these people, I'm going to get teary-eyed just saying it, but like these people see the worst of the worst things human beings are never supposed to see. But thank God for them. Thank God they can do what I would never be able to do, because can you imagine being one of these women or children and finally somebody comes in and rescues you? There's no words. There's just no words to describe what these people do.
You said that so well. I don't think I could have said it better myself. I agree with everything that you just said. Angels, like angels on earth.
Right?
Doing the really hard stuff and being really successful at it. What a blessing for us to be able to bless them.
Yes. Very, very excited about sponsoring this organization.
Yeah. So folks, go join our Patreon where you can also support the Exodus Road. As we said at the top of the episode, a portion of our proceeds go to the Exodus Road. And also, you know, just join our Patreon so you can listen to more content like this, more uplifting content like this.
That's right. And our Patreon library is continuing to grow. I think we're up to 19 or 20. I think it's 19 episodes. We put out a new one every month. We're trying to put out some bonus ones too. So 19 hours of content over there. That's not too shabby.
Yeah, check it out, friends. All right, Cynthia, anything else new going on?
I got to go talk to a therapist now after today's episode. That's what's going to be going on. Yikes.
Great. Now, I think you're bringing next week's case, right?
Yes.
Okay, Shiver Seekers, make sure you guys come back next week. We're going to hear from Cynthia with hopefully a more lighthearted case. I don't know, are any of ours actually lighthearted? Well, no, that's true. Some of them are.
This one's not lighthearted. No, can't say it's lighthearted. Sorry.
Okay, guys, come back for more gloom and doom next week.
That's right. That's what we do best, Stephanie.
But we're still going to support a good cause. We're still going to be supporting Exodus Road next week, so you need to come back to help us support that.
There you go.
All right, friends. Thank you so, so much. We love you. Your support means so much to us. We can't wait to catch you next week.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
This episode of The Dark Oak was created, researched, written, recorded, hosted, edited, published, and marketed by Cynthia and Stephanie of Just Us Gals Productions, and made possible by you, our shiver-seeking listener. Special thanks goes to Justice Himes for our incredible artwork and Ryan Crete for our amazing music.